Hey, how's it going? Jason here, and today we're going to be discussing these two olive trees I have right behind me in these 5-gallon cans. So this olive right here I worked on in June. It was basically something like this raw material I have right here, something like this one right here, and I reduced it to just a few branches just to start the pad layers. And what happened over the course of the summer is that all the growth came in, and then I recently cut it yesterday, pruned it back, and then finished off some secondary wiring on some of the pads. Just to give it shape. And I think olives are really good for beginners and sort of advanced people as well. There's a lot of different things you can do with them. You can find some raw material like this one right here. You can find some raw material like this one right here, and you can cut them back and make them shohin. Or you can prune them back, leave them kind of taller, and then style the pads and just let them fill in because they grow so fast. And you can get a bonsai pretty quickly with an olive. So with this tree, it's pretty much done. I started in June. I wired some of the branches. There wasn't really that many back in June, and then I let it grow from June to October, which is that's the month we're in right now. And basically new branches came out. I cut the ones going to on the bottom, I cut the ones going to the top, and then the ones coming off to the side I wired just to create better pad layers, just like that. Just like that right there. And once I did that, it looked really full, and I think I'm actually ready to pot this, and it's only been about 4 months. So in 4 months, once I pot it today, I'll have a nice finished tree. And I think what's significant about this is how fast you can get a bonsai with just some basic pruning and really just a few wires. This one doesn't have a ton of wire on it, just because broadleaf trees, you can just use the clip and grow technique really easily, and they'll develop those pads really quickly. So before I pot this one, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, let's talk about this raw material I have right here. All right, so I brought it a little bit closer so we can actually see the trunk here. You can see that a lot of the roots are exposed. Basically the soil level went down a little bit, and it's exposed all these roots. Maybe we can work with it though and create something interesting. But let's look at the trunk first, and you can see that there's a really nice curved line here. There's really nice nabari, right here at the base here, if we ignore some of those roots right there. And right here you've got some really nice movement. You can see that the line comes up like this. The trunk comes over like this and cuts out like that. And there was a few cuts that were made earlier. You can see there's 2 cuts that were made right here. You can see that there was 2 cuts made right there a while ago, and that was really just to make it so there was one trunk that we're working with, as opposed with the previous one that has a multi-trunk, which we ended up working with anyways. So I think one of the main things that you got to figure out with these olives is what is the height that you're going to do. So if I scoot this back, you can see that's a pretty tall tree. It comes up to about here. So we can decide, okay, what's the height that we like? We can make a shohin and cut it straight right there and cut this whole trunk line here and just use this as a tree, and you can see that that'd be a really nice shohin tree. You can make it even like this tall right here, just from here to here, and you can see a really nice tree with a really nice base and a really nice trunk. So one of the options in designing is to create a shohin. You've got a really nice curve right here, and we could cut it right here. And you can see if we did that, we'd eliminate all this right here, and you get this really nice line that goes from here and comes up like that. And you get a really nice shohin tree. And we could wire that, could wire some of these branches. We wouldn't need these ones in the pocket. Actually, regardless, we don't need those ones in the pocket anyways. So let's get rid of those. And that way you can see the line a little bit better. So we could just cut, we could use this one right here and swing that off to the left here. We could use that one, send that to the back, and send some of these to the back as well, and create a really nice shohin. If we decide to go with the other route, which is to use most of this trunk, then it's probably going to end around here. Our apex is probably going to end around here. So let's go ahead and make the cuts to the top here. All right, so I'm going to go over here and make sure I don't cut the wrong things. Cut off this tree. Just like that, we've reduced this tree to a much more manageable size. And now you can see that there's a lot of branches to work with to develop a tree right there really quickly. If I just bring some of these branches down, you can already see it. Now, like I said before, I did this one. Usually I don't do cuts like that. If I'm working on a juniper, I'm working on a conifer where sometimes I need to find an apex out of nowhere, I can curl those around. The thing is, when you're working with broadleaves that are about this thick, like that, and really brittle, you're not gonna have a really good chance at bending those around and creating an apex out of it. So sometimes on some of these trees, yeah, you can go ahead and make that big cut at the top just to reduce the tree so it's easier to see the final form, and then make it a little bit easier to work with. So now we've got to make a choice. We've got the shohin, which is right there, or we can just do a regular size tree and stop it right here. So I think on this one, I'm going to design this tree right here. I'm going to create the apex here, and I'm going to style these branches really quick, just do some quick wiring, and then we're going to see how it looks. Now, one thing I'm not a big fan of on this tree as a shohin is that the proportionality from here to here is pretty drastic. I mean, this is about a third or a quarter the size of the trunk right here, so it's not a very good taper. if I were to do this as a show hen, I'd cut it here and I'd let this one right here grow for a very long time just to thicken this up, just to match it a little bit better. But we're pretty far from that. That's still going to take a long time. So I think what we're going to do on this tree is I'm going to style it right here, do just a regular size tree, similar to the height that's in this one, but I'll do it in this one. Okay, so first thing is I've got some really small branches on the bottom here. Those aren't necessary. Those are sucker branches. And now I've got one here on the back here, right there. As it could be a back branch, but actually I've got a lot of other choices above it that I can use. But I'll leave that one for now. Maybe I'll wire that into place and see how that looks before I cut it. So first thing is I got to take care of this branch right here. So we're going to bring that down really quick. So now let's deal with this branch right here. And I think that this branch here is very important. What we're going to do is we need to create a branch or a pad layer on this section. So what we've got as a problem is we've got two competing apexes. This one's trying to reach for the top as opposed to this one, which we cut down. But this one's going this way and this one's going this way. So we got to make a clear-cut decision on where it's going to be. And I think this one, let's just do an incremental cut so you guys can see. Let's reduce this halfway. All right, so now it's already looking like less. This is less of a conflict with this one right here. Let's reduce it some more. Okay. And now you can see that now it's starting to look like an actual pad layer. You know, let's cut this one back a little bit. And nobody says that your branches have to come down immediately. They can go up and go back to the side. If you look at this one right here, I created on this multi-trunk, I basically created a little tree right here. That whole thing is based off of just these two branches right here. So we cut it off, it was thicker, and then we cut it off right here. So we cut it off right there, because originally it was competing, it was just going straight up. And then we created a little tree or a little side tree right there that kind of complements the other tree right here. So that's a good way of creating a little pad layer with a branch that's a little thicker that you can't bend. So let's reduce again. And now it's going to start to look a little bit less. Okay, so you can do these incremental cuts. And now it's getting pretty drastic. You can see that it's starting to look like we're missing stuff there. So maybe I'll stop right there. I'll cut some of these inner ones here because we don't need those. We actually need to start driving the energy of the branches to the edge here or here. And you can see that there's one branch that's going straight up right there. Once it goes up, there's another one that goes up right there. So we're going to eliminate that. Okay. And now you can see that this one right here, you can see that this one comes up. And what we got to do is try to create a pad layer right on this plane. So I've got this tree, this branch right here on this plane, and I need something on this plane right here. So that's where we'll go wire really quick, and then we'll see how it looks. And then you can see a pad layer start to develop there. Now I've got some other branches that are going up right here. You can see these ones right here. So let's cut those off because those are thicker. We don't need those, so let's cut that off. And now you can see that there's a pad layer there. We can start to, at this point, you know, it's a broadleaf, so we're going to have to wait for the development of that pad layer a little bit more. I can cut some of these ones on the outside here. Let's cut that back. So let's cut it. Now you can see that what we did was we used this branch. It went up a little bit, and then we made the cut, and I had a branch here, and I had a branch there in front of it, so rather than seeing that ugly cut, I used this little branch wired in front of it, so it looks like it's just part of one branch, but actually it's just hiding that cut that's right there. But now let's work to get our back branch, and the back branch, we can use one that's a little lower right here, but I think actually these ones are better. They're a little bit higher up than this one. Okay, we'll cut that one off, and then we'll use this one, these two right here. We'll see which one develops faster, and we'll use the one that develops faster. So then I can go ahead and, since I was successful at those, I can cut these ones that were going up behind it that were kind of my insurance pieces, just like that. Turn it, I got my first branch there, my second branch, and I got a back branch starting over here. So here, I don't have any branches here. I don't have any branches on the side here, none at all. And that's going to resolve itself over time just because it is an olive. So what I can do is I can do the same exact thing I did over on this side, which is cut this one short to create a pad layer at this level right here. Kind of similar to this one here. I can create the same thing on the back over here. And I can get rid of some of the ones I don't want because I think they're too low on that plan. So ideally, I think that this branch should be cut in the long term. But for now, since I've got nothing here, we're going to use it just to fill in this space until something pops up there, in which case we'll cut that off and replace it. So let's keep moving up the tree, just like that. We got first, second, back branch, and a back branch here, either one. So I am going to wire this guy right here, just to create a little bit of a pad layer here, just to get us going. So now we move up. 1, 2, 3. Now we need something on this side, so we'll go find something. We got this one, which is really ugly. And the reason it's ugly is because of the thickness in comparison with the one underneath. So this one will always be grown faster than this one. So I actually really don't like that branch. So we're going to cut it. Okay, which kind of poses the question, well, now what do we do? Well, we got stuff here. We got things like that to work with. We even got this one. Maybe we can bring over temporarily into this spot. So let's use some of the apex now to fill in these spots. You know, I've got this branch here. That's way too thick as well. I got this one that has a single leaf on it, and it looks like it's already broken. So let's cut that. So now we've got the apex, and this is where we're going to fill in the rest of the tree, is with these branches at the top. And that's why I saved this all earlier. I knew I didn't need any of those up here in that area because those were too high. But I saved these, I didn't cut them back, because I knew that right around here, I was missing a lot of things. I was missing a lot of branches in this area, so I'm going to have to pull them from here in order to fill in and make a crown. Kind of similar to what we did on this one. So these ones were pulled from the side right here. These ones were pulled from the side. Same as here, these were pulled from the top or the apex of that particular branch to create a crown. So it looks like I still have this one competing here. So I gotta cut that off. Okay, let's find some good anchor points. And there's a lot of branches to work with here. But just be careful, since at this point you got a limited number of branches. Just don't break the ones you need. So I wired this one at the apex, and I made sure to get a really good anchor on it, because this one is going to swing down and fill in this area. And then this one, I just wired, let's go swing down in this area. And then I'm going to wire some of these little ones with the smaller wire, just to bring them down. So I wired some of the branches. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring that down. Bring this to the back. Bring this to the side. And then if we take a look at that, you can see that some of these are too long. So we cut those short. Okay. And if it's still too long, you cut it a little shorter. And if you had to get rid of some of the wire, you get rid of some of the wire. And here at the top, I can get some of these branches that are too tall, because this is where the crowns go fill in just over time. Okay, so now we can kind of see these ones here are a little too tall. Let's cut this a little bit, trim it back. All right, so I'm going to rotate it so we can see what we did. And you guys can kind of see where the major issue is. Okay, so you got your first branch here, which we wired, and then we used the second branch from this one right here. And then we left this one at the back for now. You can see it protruding at the back. You can see that eventually does need to be cut. I've got a back branch over there. And then what I did was I used the apex, because we had nothing here in this area here. I used the apex to try to fill in as much as we could. Now, we are definitely going to get a branch here. There's no doubt about it. All I have to do is put it in the sun, and we're going to get sprouts there, and it's going to fill in that area, and then I won't have an issue anymore. But even over here, it's not too bad. Like right here, I don't have anything, but I brought this one from the apex down to fill in this spot. In the back, I filled in this one. See how it's totally empty in this back area over here? And so that's how you create a basic tree from a 5-gallon olive, or just from any olive. It can be a 1 gallon, it can be any size. That's kind of how you create it. And you bend the branches that you can. The ones that you can't, or that are too brittle, you just cut them off and use some of the side branches that come off of it to continue the branch to the direction that you want. Use the apex to fill in as much areas as you can. Make sure you don't cut that one, save that one till the end. But get rid of any conflicting trunk lines like we did here. We got rid of one here. We got rid of them at the beginning. Got rid of some branches that were too thick over here that conflict with the top of the tree. So this is what I did to this tree in June. I basically did what I did here in June. And now this is October, so this is how full it got in such a short period. So this one here is more of a slant, and it just needs time to grow. This one has grown. This was a multi-trunk, so it's got that little side tree right there. But you can see that this one's already full enough to pot, which is what I'm going to do today, just for fun. So that's the finished tree on this one. So this basically took me from June, something like this, to October now, from this to this. All right, so we're all wrapped up on these two trees. This one I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I put it in a smaller pot just because I want to keep on pushing it back. I want this really compact. I want this really close to the trunk. I don't want this going further out. So as this grows out, I'm going to keep on pushing it back, so that the growth stays close to the trunk. All right, so let me know in the comments if you preferred the show hen on this one, or if you like this one more. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching.